What is up, everybody? This is JP, your online personal trainer. First things first, out of two things, but the first thing is thank you for all the Actman subscribers that have come over from his channel and subscribed to my channel. He did give me that shout out on his video. He did that because I'm supporting him on Patreon. I really like his content. I wanted to help support him on Patreon, and then I seen that he had a lot of good rewards on there, and I did that, and then he's giving me that shout out on his video. So for all the new subscribers that have came over from his channel, I really appreciate it. My channel is just centered around everything that's related to fitness, whether that be losing weight, getting stronger, gaining muscle, increasing your squat, maybe you have a low back pain that you don't know what it's from. Anything related to exercise, fitness, or the exercise science is you definitely find on this channel. If you have any questions, comments for any new subscribers, you can definitely post them down below. Second thing is I also too have a Patreon, and that's patreon.com/JP Fitness. Again, that's patreon.com/JP Fitness. I have a lot of unique and cool rewards for anyone who likes to work out, and that ranges from monthly workouts that I post up, from in-depth fitness advice to to going over studies that are related to fitness, to online coaching, anything that you can think of related to fitness. I name it. I probably offer it over on my Patreon. So again, you could check that down below in the info section. I have it linked right there. But again, if you just want to type in the URL, it's patreon.com/JP Fitness. And today's video is going to be specifically for all the new subscribers that have came over from the Actman channel, and basically to anyone who games in general. I guess this video could also apply to someone who sits down a lot, because it's basically what I'm going to tackle today. But again, the first thing that popped into my mind was gamers. I like to game myself. And I know that even though I don't think gaming in and of itself is bad, it's really great. It stimulates your mind. It helps you make better decisions overall. It really kind of tests your intelligence in a lot of situations, which is good. I mean, you want to become a good critical thinker. But on the physical side, it can cause a little bit of problems if you don't address them, which is what I'm going to address today. And it's going to be 3 tips that I can help you if you play video games, sit down a lot. I mean, these usually go hand in hand. Maybe you don't play video games, but you just sit down a lot. These will help tackle problems that you get from that. All right, first tip is going to be stretch out your anterior chain. Your anterior chain is basically everything on the front side of your body. A better way to put it would be your show muscles, show joints, anything that you could see standing directly in front of a mirror. So if you just walked up in front of a mirror, boom, your chest, your shoulders, your biceps, your quads, your hip flexors. And the main things that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to the anterior chain are your internal rotators, which is it's one of the muscles of your rotator cuff, which is your subscapularis, which is right in this area of your shoulder. Basically, when you're sitting down a lot playing video games, and again, this can relate to an office job, you're kind of hunched over, you got this forward rounding going on, and I would definitely know, I still have a little bit of it myself, I've definitely been working on that, but you kind of are hunched over a lot when you're playing games. And if you're a big gamer like myself, you've basically had those times where you've been gaming hours and hours and hours and hours, and you just have this like kind of normal, it's not normal, but for you it's a normal kyphosis going on. You kind of have this forward rounding of the shoulders. The second thing on the anterior chain, which I want to address, is your hip flexors. Basically, the muscles around your hips and the anterior side of your body that you use to lift your leg, that help you lift your leg, or they lift your leg up. That is the primary function of them. Those get tight too, extremely tight, because you are sitting down all the time. You think about it, when you're sitting down, your hips are flexed for a long period of time, which it leads to a lot of problems. It could lead to low back pain, which I will talk about in a little bit. It can lead to anterior pelvic tilt, where your hips are tilted forward more than they should be, just naturally, because you sit down so much. And again, that can lead to a lot of problems. It can lead to problems just from general pain to problems from when you exercise. So of those 2 things, I would definitely focus on stretching out. Again, I don't want to make the video so long and tell you specific stretches. You can easily look them up. I might even do that in a different video, but stretch out your internal rotators, which is the your rotator cuff, which would be your subscapularis, and then stretch out your hip flexors. Those are 2 things that you want to stretch out. If you've never stretched before, you don't work out, I would recommend with the higher frequency of stretching them. So probably stretch them 3 to 4 times a week, maybe 5 to 10 minutes a piece. Do different stretches of them anywhere in that range, but focus on those 2 things. Again, it would be stretch your internal rotators of the shoulder and your hip flexors. Again, you could type that on Google. I may do a different video about that another time, but just for the sake of length, I'm not going to give you any specific stretches for them. There's a lot of stretches you can do, but I would definitely stretch those two things. They get tight, they can cause a lot of problems. All right, the second tip that I'm going to be giving you today is not stretch the posterior chain, but you need to exercise the posterior chain, and not just regularly exercise them. People who game tend to have, because, and this directly links to the first one, is because your internal rotators of the shoulder tend to be forwardly rounded, and then your hips tend to be flexed the entire time, and your hip flexors are so tight that inadvertently makes your glutes basically in an eccentric contraction. Well, it's not really a contraction, but they're eccentrically loaded the entire time you're sitting down. Think about it. When you're sitting down, your glutes are lengthened the entire time, the entire time, the entire time. You don't really get a good chance to learn how to contract them extremely well. And the same thing goes with your low back musculature, right around that same region, and up towards the upper side of your body, but still the posterior chain would be your rotator cuff and your rhomboids. Now, for your external rotators, we're not going to stretch them, because think about it. If on the other side of your body, your internal rotators, you're forwardly rounded the entire time, which means that your external rotators are eccentrically loaded the entire time. They're being stretched out. You don't want to stretch something that's already being stretched. So for your external rotators, your infraspinatus, your supraspinatus, and your teres minor, you want to exercise them, which means find some type of external rotations, cable external rotations. You can either do it either variation just like that, or with dumbbells. Again, you could type that up. You could definitely comment below, and I'll probably link you some if you really can't find any. But do exercises that work your external rotators, not stretch them, works them, and then also works your rhomboids. For your rhomboids, it's an easy one. You can just do some high rows. You could do, some people just call them scapular retractions, things like that. But if you couple good external rotation exercises with rhomboid work, and you can even combine those two with the face pull exercise. I had a video on this a while back. You could definitely look that up, or you can just type it on YouTube or Google. Look up the face pull. The face pull kind of tackles both those problems at the same time. So you could do some face pulls, maybe some direct external rotation work, and then also do some high rows. Combine that with the first one, and that'll really alleviate the problem of this forward roundness at the top. Now, back to what I said earlier about the glutes. Because they're being eccentrically loaded the entire time, they're lengthened, you're just sitting down, or they're lengthened because your hips are flexed. You need to target the glutes specifically along with the low back. They're really closely tied, because the low back musculature functions as a spinal erector, but it also functions closely with the glutes to extend the hips. But even though the low back shouldn't be a primary mover on that. But anyways, I would target the glutes specifically. So, and by specifically, I mean, because I already know some people are going to say, well, squats. Yes, squats are good to do, but they're not the only thing that I would do. Another good exercise I would do to target this problem here is, it's called two different ways, like a donkey kick or a mule kick. Basically, you're just putting a resistance on your ankle and you're kicking backwards. Again, it's not hard to find out. If you really cannot find these exercises yourself, comment down below. I will help you. But definitely doing some mule kicks. And on a lot of these exercises down here, not up here, because you're going to be doing static stretching for number one anyways, but for these exercises down here for number two, when you actually exercise the rhomboids, rotator cuff, glutes, and low back, one key tip I would focus on is maybe for the first few weeks that you start doing these exercises, at the top of the contraction or at the top of the range of motion of whatever exercises you do, I would hold it there for a count of 2 or 3 seconds. Why? Because these have been eccentrically loaded the entire time. They've been lengthened when you sit down. Your rotator cuff rhomboids have been lengthened with the forward rounded shoulders. Because think about it. If I'm forward rounding like that, these are being lengthened out when these are being shrunken down. So what I would do is, you need to hold that when you're doing some type of external rotational work. You need to hold the top part of the range of motion for a count of 3. And at the top, just squeeze, 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 and then go back down in whatever exercise you're doing. This will help teach you to contract the muscle group. A lot of people have low back pain because of the whole problem of sitting down too much, but it's a lot of things that go along with sitting down too much, and that's because they just don't know how to activate their glutes that much. And you really need to work on just directly contracting. Don't just do random crappy reps going up and down real fast. Maybe you could go fast on the way up, hold it at the top of the rep range of motion for a count of 3, get a real good contraction, then control the eccentric portion. Doing these things right here will help, again, bring your shoulders from this position, because you'll be stretching the front, exercising the back, bring your chest up, shoulder blades down, sternum up, have you help you get a better posture. If you have any shoulder pain, shoulder impingement, it'll help with that too. And this will also help with, again, low back pain. Just let's just say any type of pain that you would have maybe in that region. I'm not saying that this is the cause of every pain, but this is a good solution to a lot of people who have that problem. And then this will just also increase performance. If you want to row more, if you want to be able to squat more, deadlift more, doing these things will really help. And these, again, specifically target people who play video games a lot, who sit down a lot, anything in that realm. And the third one is just a kind of a bonus tip. This isn't really in depth, but a lot of people forget about this. Get in some cardio, especially for people who are playing games. You are sitting down all day. There have been some studies done that show that people who work out for 1 to 2 hours or 1 hour a day, but they sit down the entire rest of the time, which again, I'm guilty of a lot of the time too. I'm gonna work out fairly hard, but again, I would say that that's not a makeup for, working out doesn't make up for that. But if you're sitting down for most of the day and you work out versus someone else who doesn't have like a direct workout to do, but they're always on their feet, maybe they have a really active job like a construction worker or something, they're gonna be in general more healthy than a person who's sedentary most of the day. So what I would definitely do is just get in some cardio. Lifting is not gonna fix the problem of you just sitting down all day. That's it. So don't just do traditional weightlifting exercises like curls and overhead presses and squats. I would definitely, somewhere in your workout routine or somewhere in general, is include some cardio, whether that be low intensity cardio for a long time like walking, medium intensity cardio like jogging and running, or high intensity cardio like rower machines, sprinting, jump rope, farmer's carries, things like that. So again, if you're a gamer, someone who sits down a lot, please take all these things into consideration. They'll definitely help with your posture, injury prevention, and increase your performance and whatever your goals are. If you like these videos, please subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend. Check out my Patreon. Again, I linked it down below. And if you just want to type in the URL, it's patreon.com/JPFitness. And again, thank you for all the Actman fans who have came over from his channel, heard the shout out, and came over, subscribed to here. And one quick note, if you haven't noticed, I am a little bit sick. Don't know what it's from, but again, I didn't want to skip out on a video or not do the video because I haven't been feeling too well. But until next time, see ya.